Welcome back to the Beyond the Buckets. I'm happy to have Blaine Strong. Welcome to the program.
What's going on? Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Man, I want to get into a lot of stuff, but get into a 3-minute backstory on who you are and where you come from. I know you're an ex Hooper as well. So give everybody a little quick background on you.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm Blaine Strong. Grew up in Pasadena, California. 31 years old. I was growing up. I was a very small, like short, skinny kid. So basketball probably wasn't the best choice for sports, but all my friends were playing it. So I was actually 5 years old when I got introduced to playing basketball in a small little kids league that my buddies' parents were running. I was like, oh, this is so fun. I love people. I love hanging out, playing sports. So I got pretty good at it. Played in high school. But unfortunately, my high school senior year is when I first tore my ACL. So kind of put me out for the whole senior season, which was at the time, devastating. Thought it was like the end of my life and
For
everything,
sure.
like all I worked for, and so ended up actually healing back up, started playing again, and then tore it my first year in college. So obviously, basketball wasn't meant to be for my future. But it actually led me to having the passion for health and fitness, wanting to help more people, and being in that rehab facility of getting my leg back and stuff just got me around people that really saw me, made me see that I really could help more people with my story, and just give them hope for doing something not only as an athlete but just making a difference for other athletes and people that just want to have that ability to play sports and be an athlete as well.
For sure. Well, I love your mindset because so many people, when they're basically knocked down at the knees, for you, literally, it's so hard to get back up and make a different transition in their life. And we're always going to get knocked down. And some of the things that we actually really want aren't the things that aren't the things that we actually really need for our lives, and you can still be fulfilled in other ways, and obviously you found that. I guess that leads into my first question. What did you learn about the body when you started to study kinesiology and the injuries that you had in particular, and then how you started to change what you were consuming, and just how the body dynamic works? I'm so interested in that, being that I am a physical education teacher myself.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, it's so funny because growing up in sports, especially at least in my school, we were never taught anything about nutrition. We weren't taught anything about preventative, on the preventative side of injuries. We were just like, go hard, run 2 miles, go play as hard as you can for as long as you can, and just show up the next day at practice. There was no like recovery. There was no go do massages. There was no foam rolling, stretching even. So for me, it was learning the hard way, unfortunately. But we didn't have any trainers that were teaching us how to eat right and stuff. So I was eating all the fast foods and just consuming whatever I could as I was so hungry after like a 2 3 hour practice, right? So unfortunately, all my injuries really got me to focus more on myself, listen to my body. Obviously learn from the physical therapist that I was going to rehab for as well. And
Mhm.
so in kinesiology, you just learn kind of how the body works, and just how fragile it can be if you overwork it. And so that was me back in the day. As like I said, a skinny kid growing up, I always wanted to bulk up and just put on muscle so I could prove a point. Just be that big person really for no reason. So after I retired playing basketball, it was more like, oh, I want to be a gym rat. I want to gain muscles. I want to, have that physique. And so then it became about aesthetics and having abs and all that. So then I went from like one extreme sports to like bodybuilding status almost, and then got injured doing that as well. So I had to learn the hard way, like I said. And so all these injuries kind of forced me to dive into my own like soul searching of like, all right, what do I really need? Like asking my body and giving recovery days with purpose, doing stuff like cryotherapy, doing stuff like massage, investing in like a hypervolt, and doing things that really help you recover, but intentionally, not just like take a rest day, like you're actually doing things that are helping you recover faster to get that muscle growth and more mobility in the future. So yeah, man, learned a lot on my own for sure. And then of course, just being in the fitness industry.
Definitely. Well, you spoke on abs, and obviously, if you go check out your Instagram, you'll see that you have have a very great set of abs. And I need to go back in the gym and work on my six pack still as I get older. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the nutritional side of things. You know, I'm a big proponent of lifestyles over diets because I don't really believe, and this is my personal feelings, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. I don't think diets really work for a long-term sustained approach to health and wellness. I think they work for a period of time, but if you get out of that, you know, if you intermittent fast for however long and then you go back to eating what you normally used to eat, well, it's going to have a compound effect where you're not only going to gain the weight you had before, but now the body's reserves are actually going to make you, you know, consume more because they don't know if your body's going to go back into starvation. So talk to me, how important is nutrition versus working out? And then, you know, your thoughts on diets and different things, because you're obviously in that fitness industry, one of the elite people, you know, around, and have so much knowledge. So selfishly, I want to know, and then I know you're going to help so many people.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I mean, nutrition is one of those things that is a very touchy subject for a lot of people. I feel like if I have to give any sort of advice, I need to just say you need to follow a plan that you can stick to. And when people hear diet, a lot of times it has this negative like connotation to it because it's like, oh, it's restricting. So if you have that mentality about it, then of course you're going to fail. You're setting yourself up for failure before you even begin something. So I always just tell people, go into some sort of like lifestyle change or habitually change and start incorporating little things that you can stick to on a daily basis. So I try to give people more tips on just like little things that they can digest and bite off versus like, oh, you need to change your entire diet plan. You got to add, XYZ, because it's almost like you go from smoking cigarettes 3 packs a day to like zero,
Yeah,
in one day. You can't really do that. So it's just giving people access to knowing that number one, nutrition is not just so you can look fit and have the aesthetics, but it's actually going to help you live longer. It's going to give you access to have more productivity in your life. It's going to give you better relationships because you're going to feel more confident about yourself, right? It's tying kind of the connections, tying them to more than just what nutrition can do on the physical realm. So I try to explain it that way, and then it gives them like the actual desire to want to change. And once you have that in place, then it's a lot easier to say, okay, let's set up a plan, right? Like, what does it look like right now in your day-to-day life, and how can we make it simplified? How can we make it convenient? And how can we really set you up for success? And a lot of times, the biggest thing is their circle of influence. I always tell people, like, if you really want to make a change, you got to start surrounding yourself with people that have like-minded goals. You got to be around people that talk, at that level of like want to play a bigger game, nutrition, fitness, whatever it is. So if all your friends are talking McDonald's and chilling, watching Netflix 24/7, then of course you're probably going to be somewhere in the midst of that.
for
Uh,
sure.
and on the other side, right? Like if you surround yourself like an athlete, you're around sports, you're around practice all the time. You have no choice. You just want to become the five people you spend the most time with. So to me, I guess to answer the question, nutrition is really just what works for you. Of course, you want to make sure you get enough protein in. Like I think that's probably what's most missing in all my clients' diets is just getting a sufficient amount of protein. Usually, they say about your body weight in grams of protein per day, and then eating high vegetable, of course, in your diet, and complex carbs as well. And there's so many fad diets these days that I feel like if you can't do it long term and it makes you kind of feel uncomfortable where you do have to like sacrifice something, to me, it just doesn't feel right for me having to tell them to be so strict and complex. So again, I go back to the small changes they can make over time. And then once you build that confidence, then, month, 2, 3, 4 months down the line, you're like, okay, now let's get into meal prep. Let's do a little bit of counting and do some deficits and stuff. Right. So
For
that's how
sure.
I do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not into a whole bunch of diets or anything like that, but I did try intermittent fasting for over a
Mm.
year, and it worked. It made me feel better, and I felt cleansed and all that sort of stuff. And you lose weight and your abs start to show a little bit more. And then I got off of it because I heard that it gives you low testosterone. So I was like, oh, let me try not to do that. But and then I kind of tried to do it a few months ago for another month. And for me, I'm just trying to see what my body likes to do. And right now, I'm not currently doing it, but I have started, like you said, meal prepping. So my wife and I, we meal prep every Sunday. So we get the ground turkey, and then we get the chicken breast and all of that stuff. And so we make our meals on Sunday, and we each get one per day. So at least the one meal at lunch for sure, we're going to do that. And then we try to eat something healthy at night as well. But that has really changed because 2 years ago we weren't doing that. But we want to live as long as we possibly can. We want to be as healthy as we possibly can. So we've made those little things. And people say, oh, you meal prep every week. Well, it's like, no, it only takes me an hour or 90 minutes at the very most to grill up the ground beef and the chicken. And sometimes we do potatoes or sweet potatoes and the brown rice, quinoa, stuff like that. And then your vegetables, obviously. But it's really not that difficult to do, and we save a lot more money. If
Right.
we were going to do some of the meal prep places around, it costs $10, $12 a meal, where we're spending $60 in total, and we got 10 meals and plus some if we want to do that. So have you seen any of the fad diets actually work for some of your clients?
Yeah, so I mean, I work with so many people over the years that, I pretty much have had at least one of my clients try every single diet. I will say, keto, I've had a few people try, which has worked for some and not worked for some as well. So it's like, again, goes back to that whole balance, listening to your body. And I always say, like, try it for at least a week, 2 weeks, a month, even, just to see how your body reacts, and then you can always make changes, afterwards. But if you always have to think about trying something, and deep down, like, oh, I want to do keto because I think it's going to work, then I'm like, yeah, go try it. I don't want to have to convince people why or why not to do something. I'm like, all right, just see how your body reacts, so that when they come back to me, then they really know from that experience of, like, okay, now I know I have my own opinion about it. Right. So yeah, it definitely has had, like keto, collagen, broth, bone broth. I know a ton of, different protein types and stuff. So I'm not super, like, into the scientific side of things, so I don't try to go down that hole. But I do know, what's worked for me and a lot of my successful clients. So again, I just try to keep it very, like, lifestyle oriented, and not so focused on the nitty gritty, and so that it just, works for everybody.
Speaking of that, what works for you?
Yeah, so I do mostly a high protein based diet. I'm pretty active. I go to the gym at least 5 6 days a week, and I do pretty high resistance training, some hit as well. So I do need a lot more, like, protein and carbs than I would say the average person does. So I do consume quite a bit of food, and I supplement and do some other things as well. But yeah, I focus mainly kind of like a paleo, like protein based diet. But I also have a, good amount of complex carbs. I've been snacking on rice cakes all day, and I try and carb cycle. So on heavy days of, like, legs, or when I'm going to go really hard in the gym, I do more carbs, and then the next day I'll cycle off a little bit and do less carbs, high protein, high veggie. So similar to something like that. That's kind of like my lifestyle maintain regimen.
And if you're getting ready to do a photo shoot, how much does your diet change because you want to be photo ready? Do you walk around photo ready, or do you have to get to that point?
Yeah, I'd say I could prep for a shoot about a week out. I don't, like, do anything extreme that month or anything like that. So the only thing I'll cut out is, like, a little bit of carb and do a little bit more extra cardio that week. But that's pretty much it. Nothing too crazy or extreme.
And then we have a lot of athletes that listen to this program talk about hydration and how important that is as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, hydration is everything. I try to literally, right when I get up in the morning, I try to have like 2 to 3 glasses of water. You're going, let's say, 8 hours of sleeping without any hydration at all. So you really got to get that. I try to put some lemon and tea and sometimes in my cup as well. But getting that hydration throughout the day, it aids in so many different things in your body. But your brain is 80% water. I mean, your body is majority water. So if you think about it, if you're not refueling just like you eat all day, right? If you're not getting the glasses of water in, I mean, your body is going to be not optimized. So you definitely got to hydrate like at least a gallon a day.
For sure. You talked about optimization just a little bit. Tell me some optimization strategies that you might have. I wouldn't call them life hacks, but a lot of people do. What are some life hacks that you might be able to tell the audience?
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I talk about this a lot. So I run a lot of like online challenges and stuff. And the one thing that we always give access to pretty much anyone, so anyone can jump on, but we call it Morning Mastery. And we do it at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. And it's basically like about a half hour to like 40 minutes at the most, where we do some breath work, we do a little bit of movement, and we do a little bit of mindset like stimulation. So we listen to videos or audibles or something together, and everyone's on Zoom together like this. And it's just that kind of collective energy with everyone that really helps too. But I tell people, if you have that set morning routine where you get up and you dedicate at least 30 minutes to yourself, where you fill your own cup up first, right? You focus on setting some goals, writing them down, setting some intentions for your day, doing a little bit of breath work, getting the body moving so you get that blood flowing. And then, of course, hydration and getting that mind right, you're bound to have a great day, So that's my biggest health hack is I'm always like, have your morning routine and have your night routine so that your starting and your end cap of your days are like bound to make the middle, amazing. And so, of course, you have cold and hot exposure. I always tell people if you can't do cryotherapy or something like that, do a cold shower. It's amazing how many benefits, cold exposure can have for your body and your mind, of course, too. But especially for people that are working out all the time, have that inflammation in their body, that cold exposure can do wonders. And then same thing if you have a sauna or if you do something, I try to do hot showers at night, just kind of as a wind down as well. But that hot to cold exposure, I don't know if you guys ever listen to like Wim Hof or anything, but
Hmm.
he talks a lot about that, right?
For
And
sure.
then as you do the cold exposure, trying to incorporate that breath work. So when you can tap into your breath, and a lot of it's all nasal breathing. So many benefits to nasal breathing as well. Serves as a natural air filter, production of nitric oxide, gets you into parasympathetic state so you recover faster. But if you just focus on breathing in and out of your nose as often as possible throughout the day, you'll notice so many more benefits. And it's crazy when you work out and you actually focus on that, how fast you can bring your heart rate down. And I wish I knew all this stuff when I was, playing basketball
Hmm.
way more seriously. But I can tell like when I'm jogging or running, everyone always says like, why don't you sweat ever? Or why don't you ever like look like you're, dying? And I'm like, because I'm literally in control and I think about how I breathe pretty much, all throughout the day. So just little stuff like that, paying attention. And when you work on things, each and every day, like for me, it's been almost 10 years, just adds up. Like you said, in the compound effect, right? In the beginning, over the years, every single day, every little decision you make adds up. And now, it just becomes second nature. So it's really incorporating those little things like a routine and, doing them daily so that you can build that momentum.
I've never heard the in and out through. Obviously, when you're doing yoga or meditation, they tell you to breathe that way. But I never thought about it as doing athletic activity as a player. The coaches always use in through your nose, out through your mouth. But you're telling the contrary, and it actually makes sense because you're focused more on the breathing, and it can calm yourself, especially in a situation where there's a game or a contest, or even if you're running, you're kind of present with the breath only and not worried about what's going on externally. So I'm definitely going to try that. I'm going to start breathing through my nose a lot more. And we're going to try to work with that breath work with our players. The meditation, I did a meditation this morning. I can't, depending on the kid's schedule, it's very difficult for us really take the time for ourselves in the morning. But as
Mm.
soon as we get them, or we might split it up, we're actually creating a whole gym in our garage right now. So we can do
Wow.
that. Like, all right, you go work out at 5, I'll work out at 6. I'll take the kids from 5 to 6 and you got them from 6 to 7. So we can
Nice.
actually, do what we need to do, because that's something that I need every single day. I need to move daily in order for
Yep.
me to function. I don't feel great if I don't. Even if you eat good, I need to move and I need to get those endorphins flowing. It's very important for me.
Totally, man. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I always say, even if you can't work out like a full hour or like go to the gym, I know a lot of people are busy, right? So going back to that whole morning routine, if you could do 10 to 15 minutes of just like a fasted little, even if it's like a little yoga, mobility, some sort of like little, fasted cardio, even like a light jog, just walk around the block, even, right? Like do something. And it, like you said, getting those endorphins going, right? Get your blood flowing. That all does so much for you and your confidence too, so that you go about your day and you're like, yeah, I took care of myself. Like I'm good. Like my body's confident. I'm growing. I'm physically getting better.
For sure. Talk about transforming your lifestyle into a business, because you were able to you identified something that you were interested in after you stopped playing basketball, and from there it was obviously a long process. Maybe talk quickly about the process and then how you actually transform your lifestyle into a business. I did the same thing, where it started off slow, where I was training kids, and then it became teams, and then it became running a club, and then it became a big club, and now you have 40 teams and things like that, where it's stack stack stack. But everything that I was doing was related around basketball, and then you just kind of find yourself in these situations because you've invested so much time and energy and effort early on. So maybe talk about the process of you starting, and then secondly, um, talk about turning the lifestyle into a business.
Yeah, definitely. So right when I finished college, I didn't know exactly what field I wanted to go into. I was working at a chiropractic office for a while, doing a lot of deep tissue massage, learning amazing things from this guy, which I'm super grateful for. Having hands-on practice, and I was also personal training on the side. Got into modeling a couple years later. So I was always around like the fitness realms, doing different things, but I always felt the need to want to be around groups of people for some reason. Like I was always attracted to energy, doing group fitness classes, and just talking in groups and being on teams. So I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I kind of knew that I wanted to do it in a way that could influence and impact more than just one-on-one style. And so through my own personal transformation, I had to work on myself after I got injured so much, going back to the whole like injury prevention. I had to really like get into more mobility stuff, learn yoga, learn how to listen to my body, nutrition, of course. So once I had that transformation of really gaining the muscle, dropping the body fat, and then also feeling good and doing things that my body like actually wanted. So like I got into calisthenics a lot too, and took a lot of time off of weights so my body could heal. And then once I was in tune in my body and I had that mind body connection to where I knew which muscles were engaging and things like that, then I was able to get back into the gym and go, a little harder. So after all that, I felt like I had to go through my own experience and transformation to be able to like really coach people or like want to give that to people. And I always say like, you can't give something to someone that you don't already have. So, talking from that place of authenticity, and like knowing that I accomplished it, I did it first. Now I can actually teach it. That's what I wanted to do. And so, through that, I started working at a gym in Culver City in the West Side. And so, doing group fitness classes, working there part time. I was driving from Pasadena, then decided to move out there eventually. And then I became a co-owner out there. So we had remodeled it a couple times, and I was there for about 6 years. And so I learned so much, got to really run pretty much everything from as a trainer to then, owner, and really helping, other people and employ them as well. So I got to see, different aspects of a business. And so, I was talking to you earlier about wanting more than just like the LA scene. I grew up in LA. I always work with like different clientele inside of LA, high-end clients, athletes, just everyday people. but I always had the passion to go into communities that were a little bit less privileged. I wanted to go somewhere that it was a smaller town. There wasn't so much available where someone could walk outside and they didn't see, a Whole Foods and an Equinox on every corner.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah. So moving out to now Reno, Nevada, I'm actually in a smaller town, subside of Carson City. So there's not a whole lot of that, right? We barely have any healthy foods to shop from here. So wanting to bring something here, was kind of what my passion or was pulling me towards. And so I had a business partner out here, and she was like, you know what, come check it out, see if you like it. And at the time, this was like all before quarantine happened. But I was kind of in this place of like, I just turned 30. What's my next step? Like, what do I want to do with my life now? And so it was just like a why not for me, right? I didn't have kids. I didn't have anything going on tying me to LA. So, and I always thought about moving somewhere. So I was like, well, why not now? And then of course, quarantine happened and all these things came up, but I was just like, this is perfect time. I can get settled in. I can drive up from LA. And now, we're about 2 weeks from opening our nutrition health cafe out here. So we want to make it almost like a place, of course, where you can get smoothies and teas and coffees and all those. Like we're doing protein donuts, they're bomb. And then we're also going to be doing like community events, a place where you can hang out. In college, I remember always like wanting to go places that wasn't always involving drinking. Like I would always try to go, to a sports bar just to watch sports. But of course, everyone else just wanted to be drunk, So I was like, why can't I create something where people can go to, be in a healthy environment, but still hang out around, positive people, still feel amazing when they're there, and of course have great nutrition to, stop in and work from, like a Starbucks type vibe.
No doubt.
So that's what we're creating here. So we have this one opening, another one opening, and my goal is to open at least 5 to 10 of these in, this like different regions inside of Northern Nevada. Before I go do it again, probably somewhere else, depending on, where I'm at. But yeah, that's kind of, what it's been. And I still coach people online, run online challenges, and I love virtual. But just something about being in person and being able to like huddle people up and just like, give someone a high five and hug them and hear their story. It's just that connection that I always like love every single day. So of course I'm grateful for Zoom and, social media and everything. But I can't wait to like be in that environment again and just, give people my energy.
Wow. So it sounds like that sense of community is very important. And I don't know if you grew up the same way I did, but on Saved by the Bell, and they would always go to the Max. And that was such a great place for community and where everybody could just go and eat and have fun. And obviously they weren't drinking on that show, but that seems like a great idea. And I went on, it's called The Mix, Carson City, right? I
Yep.
went on the Instagram, and I mean, it looks delicious. I mean, it looks like any of the best desserts you would get at a 5-star restaurant. So tell me about like the ingredients and how it came about, and how do you get it to taste good? I love the vegan donuts that they have at Whole Foods. Like we get those for my son. He doesn't even know that they're vegan, but yeah. So tell me about some of the ingredients and kind of what went behind, you guys coming up with that.
Yeah, no, definitely. So we actually use a lot of Herbalife nutrition products to really complement some of the stuff that we do. So like the protein donuts have a lot of the powder in them, and then we add our own like monk fruit and different sweeteners that are natural, of course. So we can make things vegan. A lot of people I know are like very conscious about gluten and stuff as well. So we have multiple options, which is great. And then same thing with like the coffee, like protein-based coffee. The teas, of course, all natural energy. There's like B12, different ingredients that are really just helpful in a way that you can, of course, find supplements and vitamins and stuff in shops or wherever else and get them from foods, but make it in a way that's attractive. A lot of times people will just go a place to hang out because they just want to have a Starbucks mug or something to hold because it feels cool. And so, like you said, on Instagram, it looks cool, it feels great, so going somewhere where you can get something that not only is good for you, but also tastes bomb, looks bomb, you just have like a full experience. where people are getting everything they need and having, that full experience when they come in and get something.
For sure. There's a lot of people that would love to be in the fitness industry. And, obviously I think it's heightened now. I think becoming a personal trainer or something like that is very in now.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't really know how to monetize that. And they'll get to a point where they get their certification and they might go work for a gym. I think gyms are going to be on the way out, by the way. That's why we're making a home gym. But I say that to say, what advice would you give somebody that wanted to get into this space and they're at a young age, or even somebody that is making a transition from a previous career to wanting to get into this industry? What would some advice that you would give be to these individuals?
Yeah, it's a great question. So going back to the whole, really focusing on yourself first. I think if you want to become a trainer, if you want really anything, honestly, any field you want to go into, you have to really gain the knowledge and understand the ins and outs of the industry and gain experience first before you just pour out and expect all this business to come to you. And this has been years for me. Since 2010 I started working at a gym. I started working for a chiropractor. I was doing things for free a lot of times. I was doing a lot of things just because I wanted to volunteer and gain experience and knowledge around, different people in their professions. So I would just say definitely always constantly seek out knowledge and experience, do things to collaborate with people. The best way I learned was always like saying yes to things that got me uncomfortable and forced me to go out in different events and learn from trainers. I would do, public speaking a lot of times made me crazy fearful, but I knew it was going to help me. And so I would just say yes and then figure it out later. So say yes to all opportunities possible. I would also say, continue to focus on yourself. If you can always grow on your, in your mind, your body, your spirit, and enroll people inside of that journey. I never want in my whole like training and, professional career, the way I always talk to my clients or people that I wanted to work with was as if I was doing it with them, like I'm with you, like, let's go together. And so that way it's never like I'm talking at them. It's always having conversations about, life and getting to know people. And so I would say like really giving value without expectation is really for me has been the key, to gaining clients. And over the years, a lot of trust in my people referring me, other friends as well, is I just continue to, pour into people, check in on them, not just on a professional level, but, get to know your people, for kids, from relationships, all kinds of stuff. And so it just helps you tie into more than just your profession. And then on top of that, just of course, always wanting to give more than you receive. I think that's been my key too, is like, I never really did health and fitness as a way to make money in the beginning, because I just knew how much it did for me. I felt so good about my transformation, and I just gained so much confidence. If you knew me back in 2008, 2009, when I was in college, I failed speech twice. I was one of the most shyest dudes, in the world. And so going through all these transformations and gaining so much confidence in myself, I was like, wow, if I can do this, like I want everybody to have at least the ability to experience this as well. So it came from that passion place. And if you love it, it may take a couple years to build up that clientele, but it doesn't matter because you just love the process so much. So just fall in love with the process, give tons of value, give more than you receive, and build those connections and relationships and collaborate as much as possible, and just be a yes man or yes woman, and everything will happen for you.
There's a couple of things that I want to touch on. One is it takes 10 years to be an overnight, success. You said you started in 2010. Well, it's 2020, and you have increased your business, you've increased your following, and now you've pivoted and done different things. Everybody that is trying to do something, they have a long-term goal that they might want to reach, but you're not going to be able to skip steps. I try to tell our players this all the time. I try to tell, people in the business, wherever. And we've had so many people on this podcast from the business world, from coaches to just people like yourself. And the one thing that they all have in common is they didn't skip steps. The second thing they have in common is what you also mentioned is the relational piece. You were valuing the relationships that you would have and not saying no. Like, how we got connected, you didn't say no to this opportunity, and we've been having a great conversation, right? And now we're going to be in connection from here on out, because I know I can text you now, or I can see you on Instagram, or you can see me on Instagram, and now we've got that connection because you said yes. Well, that just opened up so many doors for you, because now you have these people in the basketball world or the business world checking the podcast out, and vice versa. Now I've learned so much, one, just interviewing you. I'm breathing through my nose right now. And I just think that's the way you learn and grow. And you just mentioned that. And then the last thing is, you can't chase the money.
Mm-hmm.
The money will come if you do things the right way. And I've always run my businesses that way, always trying to give myself more to what happens. And in the return, it ends up coming back to you, you know, 10x, 20x. I mean, you name it, depending on what segment or area that your field is in. But, those are very, very important keys. And I so much appreciate you just saying those, because those are paramount in every one of these conversations with these successful people that I'm talking to.
Man, yeah, that's it, dude. Yeah, I appreciate it too, man. I know, Amanda reached out originally, and yeah, we had never met or connected, and so I was just like, you know what, why not? For me, it's always like if I can, then why not? If I can do it, if I can carve out the time, I always know, like, giving back and saying yes to things. Sometimes it nothing ever produces from it, but I always say, like, everything's interconnected somehow, and it's not always about the outcome. It's sometimes just about the action that you take that produces fruit later in life. So you don't really know when it's going to happen, but you just continue to do the right thing. You say yes over and over and over again. Going back to that compound effect and the bamboo tree story, right? It grows in 5 years 90 feet, but in those first 5 years, right, it grows like barely sprouts out the ground, and in the last 5 weeks it grows 90 feet, right? So
Wow.
it's the same exact concept in life. Some people want that, like, have that microwave mindset, want success tomorrow, and they're not willing to go through the dirt and all the stuff to get there. So yeah, just enjoy the process, have fun. You got to have fun. That's like my biggest thing too, is whenever it became hard work, or I was doing stuff that I didn't really enjoy, I'm like, all right, I got to mix it up. Like, let's do something different and have fun, because
Definitely.
right.
I've got two things. One, you are going to the mix in Carson City, and you've got 5 individuals that you would love to spend some time with. It can't be a friend or family member. Who would you invite for a meal at the mix? You got 5 people, anybody dead or alive, you can have at the mix.
Oh man, that's a good question. Well, I'm going for sure Kobe Bryant. That's a no matter what. He's my idol. Growing up, man, I was devastated to hear that news. So definitely Kobe. Second would be The Rock.
There you
Definitely
go.
look up to that dude for so many different reasons.
Yeah.
Number three would be Will Smith. Number four would be my dad. My dad passed away about 5 years ago. Actually, this month, October 5th, is going to be his birthday. So, definitely a meaningful full month for that. And then I guess the last one will be my mom. I'm so grateful for her, and for her making all the sacrifices necessary. She just is a special woman, and I would of course want her there too.
That would be an amazing group to have some nice snacks over at the mix. Last question: if there's anybody that would that should come on this show that could bring value to somebody out there in the world, who would it be? And before you answer, you're gonna have to make that connection, because Amanda did the same thing for you and me. So
I got you, man. Yeah, so I actually work with a guy named Wade Bass. He's in Denver, Colorado. Extremely humble and nice dude, but so knowledgeable, bro. Like, I mean, he's taught me a lot of the stuff that I know today as well. So we've been running that morning mastery program together for the last 6 months, and I think you'd really enjoy him for sure.
nice, Wade. You got to connect it. So I'm gonna hold you
Oh,
to that.
yeah, definitely.
Blaine, I appreciate you for coming on, man. I know a lot of people are going to get some value out of it. Where can everybody follow you? I mean, you've got 1 million followers on your social platforms, but tell everybody where they can follow you, follow the Mix, Carson City. I'm sure it's coming not just in Southern Nevada, but it's coming all over the place soon. So let everybody know and plug anything you want right now.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Blaine Strong, just my name on Instagram. Same thing with Facebook, blainestrong.com website. And then, yeah, just follow the Mix Carson City. You can kind of watch the journey. It's been cool to post all the construction and everything happening right now as we get open in a couple weeks. But yeah, if you guys want to reach out, send me a DM with any questions. Would love to help where I can. But I appreciate you having me on, man.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to the Beyond the Buckets podcast. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and share the show with your friends. And until next time, take care.